Hey, what's up, guys? It's Andrew from travelingguitarist.com. Voice is all crackly today for some reason. But yeah, so today we're going to talk about guitar strings snapping on their own. So the question is, can they snap on their own? Sorry, I'm a little tired right now. Yeah, they actually can. It's not really that common. For instance, like if you're constantly changing the environment that you're in, and wood is a moisture absorbing material, so it expands and contracts depending on how much moisture is in the air, depending on the humidity of the environment. So because of that, it's going to increase or decrease the amount of tension that's on the guitar string depending on where you are. So that's one of the reasons why it might snap on your own. Like, say you pull it out of your case and you went from outside to inside or inside to outside. Typically there's a higher chance of it snapping if you're going to a more moist environment. It's kind of a funny word, because when it absorbs all that moisture and it actually gets bigger, so that there's more tension on the string. From what I understand, I could have it backwards, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. And one of the other primary reasons is because the oxidation process, which is basically like rusting. So slowly over time, the highest strings, which from what I understand, they're not wound like the high E string and B string. They're not wound. I think it's just like pure steel. Like it's not nickel plated like the other wound strings. So for that reason, I think they're more susceptible to rust in the oxidation process, and they're more likely to snap. So in general, those are the two main reasons why. However, there are other reasons for why it might snap on their own. So we'll get into that now. One of the big ones is because of bending. In conjunction with the fact that the string is becoming deteriorated over time. Like when you bend and it's not as strong as it used to be, there's a bigger chance that it's gonna snap. And usually that's when you'll snap a string. It's when you do a bend. When you bend just like a little more than you usually do, and the string is a little compromised, that's usually when you snap it. And for me, I find that it almost always snaps like closer to the bridge. That's what it did recently on my guitar. I took the picture of it for the main image of the post. Another reason why they snap is because the nut. So the nut is like where the guitar strings sit on the headstock. The nut sometimes can like build up a lot of like dirt and grime and all kinds of stuff. Excuse me, and it contributes to the rough edges in the nut. So over time, it kind of erodes the string's integrity and can cause a snap string. There's actually a way of dealing with this. You can use a gentle file or a wound electric guitar string, and just like rub it in the hole to remove all the offending, materials, substances, whatever you want to call it. Another place where it can snap is because of the bridge. The bridge is made out of steel, so it's definitely pretty sharp. If it's burred anywhere on the bridge, it's going to be more likely to snap around there as well. And in terms of fixing that problem, it's the same thing as with the nut. You're going to have to file it down with a tiny little file. Usually you can purchase them on Amazon. Another reason is using the wrong guitar strings. So if you do a ton of bending, I wouldn't recommend having like a thick gauge strings. It's just way harder. Not only is it way harder, but I find that maybe there's a higher chance that you're gonna snap them. Additionally, if you're using a lot of alternate tunings and the string isn't meant to go, let's say like 2 notes higher. If it's not meant to do that, there's a higher chance it might snap, especially if you bend it. And then another reason is sharp edges on the frets. I think this is less common, but I think it would be more of a problem with guitars that there's not as much work and TLC put into them. Because if you're buying a good guitar, the frets should be filed down perfectly. I'm sure there's exceptions to that rule. Maybe they rushed it or something, but yeah, that can be something that causes that. A good thing to purchase is steel wool. You can get really fine steel wool and just like rub the frets with the super fine. That's literally what it's called. It's called super fine steel wool. You can get it off Amazon. You can just like ever so gently, fix all those burrs. And another reason is your pick. I mean, I use the Jazz 3 picks from Dunlop, and they're pretty hard. So obviously that's going to put more tension on the string over time, and at some point you might be at risk of snapping it. And the final one is the one I kind of mentioned in the beginning, which is the constant tension that's on this guitar on the guitar string, mixed with changes in humidity. So you're when you string up your guitar, it's always being pulled really tight, right? So I mean, when it's constantly contracting and expanding, depending on the humidity of the room, that's gonna have an effect. But yeah, in conclusion, that's about it for this video. I'm sure there's other reasons out there for why it might be so, but I'm pretty sure those are the main ones. So have a nice day. That's all for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.